Hello. So this is the first video which is important to watch before you do any of your Pilates videos or any of my Pilates videos. So I'm going to introduce you to what I'm talking about when I say the T-zone, the neutral spine, the imprinted spine, the chin tuck, shoulders down and back, ribs to hips. Okay, so start off with the T-zone. So when we're talking about the T-zone, this refers to your pelvic floor muscle, which is the muscle that's down in there, and then your transverse abdominus, which is the very lower levels of core muscles that runs right up to the rib cage. So this is really important because this needs to be activated for all of our exercises in order to really make your core your powerhouse and to support all the functions of everything else when it's going on. So the T-zone, it's called a T because that's exactly what you need to be picturing in your mind. So the lower part of the T, that's what's going to be right where your pelvic floor muscle is. So we want to be pulling upwards. So I want you to lie down on the floor comfortably, just with your feet down, arms relaxed down by your side, okay? So you're pulling up along that T, and then from your hip bone to hip bone, you're going to create the horizontal part of your T by pulling together to meet that vertical line. So you're pulling up, you're squeezing in across from your hips, and then the last part is you are flattening down. So it's as if you're trying to bring that lower abs right down to towards the mat. Okay? That's just what you're trying to imagine is happening, the sequence. So when I say T-zone tight, it's you pulling up, you're squeezing in, and you're flattening down. Okay? So I'm just going to get you to do that a couple of times. This is great for your core activation, T-zone activation. Okay, so you're pulling up. Really feel like you're drawing that pelvic floor up, as if you've got it on a pulley string inside you and you're pulling it up, and then you're squeezing across from the hips to meet that line, and then you're flattening the whole thing down. Now just close your eyes while you hold this and just really feel into how that feels when it's tight. Okay, and release. We're going to do it again. So pull up, across, flatten down. And now I just want you to take your index finger and middle finger and just place them on the inside of your hips. Okay, so relax your T-zone if you haven't already. And then you're just going to take those fingers, place them inside of the hips. It should feel nice and doughy in there when it's relaxed. And then we're going to do the sequence. So pull up, squeeze across, flatten down. Can you feel those muscles contracting underneath your fingers? That means that you've got your T-zone turned on. You've got your transverse abs turned on, which is exactly what we want. So if you're ever unsure of if your T-zone is tight, you just take your fingers and have a little feel in there. Okay? So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the neutral spine and imprinted spine. So neutral spine just refers to the natural curve that you have in your spine when you're moving about day to day. So how that feels, if you are lying down on the mat, you should just relax, and you should feel as if you've just got a natural curve. And if you took your hand, you could slightly push it underneath your back. If you take the base of your palm of your hands, place them on the hip bones, and then bring your fingers together in a diamond shape. When you've got a neutral spine, that should sit horizontal, completely flat from your pubic bone to your wrists. So just play around until you feel like you've got that. You can even have a look up, get a visual on it, and then feel what that's like for your spine. So what position that your pelvis is in when you've got a neutral spine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take the pull our lower abs down towards the mat, and you'll feel that your back presses into the mat a little bit, and also you get a very slight tilt in your pelvis, so that now your fingers are very slightly higher than where the base of your palm is. So just take a second to play around between neutral, flatten, and imprint with your fingers up. Neutral, imprint, neutral, imprint. Now this is really important, because if you don't have your spine imprinted when it needs to be, and you're not supporting your spine enough, you can cause yourself to have issues, basically, pain. We're not giving ourselves the support that we need. Same with the neutral. These two very slight differences in your spinal position make a big difference. Okay, so breathing. In Pilates, we aim to breathe in through our nose. If you take your hands, put them on your rib cage, breathe in through your nose and feel the ribs expand into your hands. And breathe out with your mouth. Nice forceful breath out. That allows us to really get the abs contracted properly. Again, breathing in through the nose, feel the ribs expand into your hands. Nice forceful breath out with the mouth. Okay, so as we're breathing out this time, I want you to imagine that you're closing the gap between the bottom rib, the very last rib, and your hips. So breathing in, expand into your hands, and as you breathe out, close that gap between your rib cage and your hips. Inhale, expand. Exhale, as if you've got a corset on and you're really pulling down. You should be able to physically feel your rib cage glide down slightly. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, just do a couple more. Inhaling through the nose, feeling the ribs expand. Exhaling, ribs to hips. Inhale. Exhale. So when I'm saying ribs to hips, on an exhale, you're thinking about pulling those ribs, shortening that gap between the last rib cage and your hip bone. Okay. And then finally, some of the other cues that I'll be saying is make sure your chin is tucked. Your chin is tucked. So you don't want to be like full on with a big, double chin here. It's just the idea that you're slightly tucking your chin so that you're not overextending through here, through your chin. So slight tuck, shoulders down and back. And when I say that, that means relaxing your shoulder and thinking about drawing your shoulder blades down in a V in your back, yeah. And then, we want as little movement in our hips as possible. By movement, I mean instability movement, so rocking. So we want this to be a complete powerhouse of rock solid strength and stability. That's what we're going for here. Yeah, and we'll either be having feet flexed or point, flexed or point. Tabletop position means pulling both legs up until we have a 90-degree angle. Yeah. So, with this knowledge in mind, now we can do our Pilates session. So remember, watch this video before every Pilates session with me, because it just really starts to get you in your mind-body connection that you need to be able to perform the Pilates exercises with really good form. Okay? Alright, let's get into it.